Welcome to Empowerment Radio. My name is Dr. Friedemann, and I'm so glad that you decided to join me. Empowerment Radio is about giving you the insights, tools, and solutions to address some of the most challenging aspects of our daily lives. So sit back, relax, and empower yourself.
Now, number 8 is to commit to your health and the health and well-being of your mind. And that's so important because a lot of people feel like, well, the mind should actually function perfectly, and they are going 4 times a week to the gym, they're eating a super healthy diet, they are stretching and buying the perfect ergonomic shoes and so on. But when it comes to their mind, they're just treating it like a stepchild. I mean, they're just, most of us do this, so it's not only a few, taking their minds for granted. How many times do we, even though our mind feels completely frazzled, overwhelmed, we're still bombarding it with going for hours on social media or the internet or watching some crime shows right before bed? How many times do we feel like our mind shouldn't need anything? It should always perform and be readily available to us, even though it may, start to feel, I'm on strike here. I can do this. I feel anxious, which again, it's just your mind not only telling you, well, there is something from the past that, makes me go into those anxiety patterns. It can also be your mind saying right now, you are not treating me well. I'm in pain. I feel out of balance. I feel like that I'm not getting enough sleep, enough rest. I'm feeling like, all about some goals that I need to reach rather than maybe enjoying life and, smelling the roses. So being more mindful with your mind is really, really important. And that also means that you appreciate your mind more and that you're seeing, my mind is actually a big, important part of me that needs to be nourished with positive thoughts, needs to be nourished with, positive affirmations and thoughts about, again, gratitude and appreciation. My mind needs maybe sometimes also a little stretching. If it gets too closed-minded or too much of the tunnel vision perspective, it needs to be opened up. If it has only a small array of emotions that it focuses on, maybe just frustration or worry or stress, it needs to be opened up and really made focus on other emotions, positive emotions, emotions that get you more into a place of balance, just like, hope or joy or maybe, admiration of beauty. Whatever those things are that you're doing with your body, you can actually also do with your mind. Now, the mindset a lot of people have is, I'm anxious right now. I'm going to focus on making my mind healthy, but as soon as I'm feeling better, I'm stopping anything that I've been doing well for my mind because I shouldn't have to do this. Only people that are weak or flawed, those that are anxious, those need to do it. No one else does it. Well, guess what? In our society, in our lifestyle, we have to really, really make sure that our mind is taken care of for many reasons. Because our mind is really that resource that we rely on the most. And that's the resource that we need the most dire to navigate through all those challenges and all those complications that modern lifestyle brings. So make sure that your mind gets all it needs. And that also means that you have to nourish your mind with the vitamins, that's the brain, it needs, and nourish your minds with good food, good nourishment food that again makes your mind feel better, and maybe avoiding these influences like caffeine or energy drinks and everything that jacks the mind up and doesn't really give it any time to rest and relax. Number 9 is, in that regard, also changing your environment. Sometimes when we are uh, in that mindset of, well, okay, anxiety is an inner problem. Everything around me is probably unrelated to the anxiety. We are ignoring that the mind is reacting to everything that happens around us. So if you, for example, are having a hard time sleeping, well, because you're anxious or have nightmares, chances are that your room is completely cramped. Your bedroom is maybe just filled with stuff, and maybe there are some things that are from the past or your ex or whatever, and you just feel like that your mind is taking all this information in, even though your eyes are closed. A lot of people sleep in front of the TV or let the TV run at night. That's certainly overstimulating the mind as well, which again, the environment plays a big role. With the environment comes also how, the people that you're surrounding yourself with, and the environment at your work, for example. How does your desk look like? Is it chaotic? Is it ordered? Do you see everything in front of you, or only the things that you need to focus on? How does your environment look like when you have time off? Are you sitting at home surrounded by pizza boxes and junk food wrappers, or do you feel like you have a Zen environment? Are you surrounding yourself with people that are always complaining and that basically only see the negative in the world and are gloom and doom, or you're surrounded by people that are open-minded and warm-hearted and actually appreciate the good things in life? These are all environmental things that you want to take into consideration when you are creating an anxiety-free space. Environment, of course, is also how you entertain yourself. I mean, that's a given, that you do not want to be the news junkie that 12 hours a day is soaking on all different outlets and only gets more and more riled up and more worried. You have to really limit yourself when you're anxious, and again, widen your perspective on things that bring you a sense of greater trust and peace. And that last step, or that last key, is see yourself as a work in progress and look forward to what is emerging. Because the person that emerges after you are outgrowing anxiety is probably the better and maybe even the best version of yourself. It was certainly something for me, that I know that when I overcame my anxiety, I became much more kind. I was tuning back into my sensitivity that I had lost throughout the years as a cardiologist, because I just felt like I had to shut that down to not get too overwhelmed. I tapped into my spirituality and really created a new relationship to the universe and to God. There are a lot of things that I felt the anxiety led me to that make me a much happier, and in my mind, a much more well-rounded person. And I have seen this many times, actually most of the times, with my clients, that what comes after the anxiety is a much more authentic self, a much more empowered self, a self that knows him or herself better than before. So really look already out for that person. As you're going through outgrowing anxiety, through first taking ownership and then feeling more neutral about it and being more curious about where it comes from, and realizing that it just wants to make sure that you're okay, that your anxiety actually cares so much about you because it really wants you to survive and not get harmed. And as you're growing beyond those old patterns and programs, and really becoming a patient, compassionate leader for yourself, making certain changes in your environment and being committed to your mental, emotional well-being. As you do all of those things, you will find that you understand yourself better. You take care of yourself better. And you are also a much more compassionate and caring resource for others. because you learn to not react to your own anxiety. You learn to not judge yourself for your struggles and challenges. You learn to see that all has a purpose and a meaning, and it doesn't really have to be, you don't have to live in this black and white, good or bad duality anymore. And as you are just, step by step creating that freedom from the anxiety and understanding that, wow, I'm seeing so much more about myself that I didn't know I had, you will also see that you are incredibly courageous to not go the easy route and just say, you know what, I really don't want to feel anything, so I'm just going to shut this anxiety down. I medicate or self-medicate myself, or I'm just closing my heart and avoid my emotions. Facing your anxiety, being curious about it, being open about it, that takes courage. Being not the person who is, impatient and judging of yourself, that takes compassion. And really following through and staying on a path of self-observation, of self-awareness and self-empowerment, that takes commitment. And if you really meet anxiety with courage, with compassion, and that commitment, you will transform into your most empowered, well-rounded, and authentic self. Well, I made it. I wasn't sure if I can go through all those 10 keys, and there's so many. I could come up with 100 keys. There's so many things we can do to really gain power from anxiety and befriend ourselves with anxiety. So if you're curious about how your journey from anxiety to your authentic self could get started, well, go to my website, drfriedemann.com, or just schedule a free consultation and we can talk more about that. Well, until next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Take good care and be kind to yourself. Goodbye.